All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Whiskeyed Gingers podcast. I'm Brandon. That's Chris. Another week where we couldn't quite line up being together, but we didn't want to let a full month go by without an episode. So we're doing one virtually today. We both chose to be outside. I think it's like 60 degrees outside. It's pretty fucking sweet. So I'm glad we're on the same wavelength there. And you'll see that the parallels continue throughout this episode, I think. We both unknowingly picked whiskeys from the same area, and ironically have the merch from that very same area on as well. Even though Chris couldn't be less of a baseball guy. I'm surprised you have that hat.
Well, you know what's really funny about it? Like, you know me in general, I'm not like a super big sports person, but I do like hockey, which is cool. Yeah. And then, like, when it comes to other sports, like, I watch basketball here and there. But for my company, my boss takes us to a Phillies game every single year. So, like, I've built up a pretty good appreciation over the last couple of years of working for the company for, like, watching the Phillies play. So I think I would say I'm slowly, you know, if I'm going to pick a team to support in baseball, it's going to have to be the Phillies. So.
I mean, that makes sense. That they're local for us, too. I mean, I know the Pirates exist, but that's, like, Western PA and or much more Eastern PA. Although the Pirate Stadium is pretty sick if you ever get a chance to go. I know you guys swung through Pittsburgh super quickly, but if you ever get a little bit more time, check that out. And I forget, you guys didn't make it to Wiggle, right? They were closed by the time you got there.
Yeah, we were there at like 9:30 at night, and we only woke up and left pretty much the next morning too. So it was kind of a shame because I really was looking forward to seeing Pittsburgh. It seemed like a really cool city just from what we saw from, you know, driving in and finding our hotel and passing out for the night. But it seemed like it would have been a cool place to check out.
For it being in the same state, it's like the anti-Philly. Like, and I love Philadelphia. I mean, I've lived here my whole life, but like when you talk about the two major cities in the same state, they could not be more different. Like Pittsburgh, people are overall pretty friendly. It's inexpensive. It's clean. It's beautiful. And then Philly's like, you know, grittier, tougher, like, and they're proud of it, which is great, but it's just so different.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, I think the craziest thing was seeing, and I've said this before, but seeing when you drive into Pittsburgh, it's like there's nothing. Yeah, it just opens up. But like when you're driving into Philly, you know you're getting close to Philly because like it's suburb central all around, and then it just gets more and more built up the closer you get to Center City. With Pittsburgh, you like come out through the tunnel or whatever, and it's like bam, hits you right in the face. There's Pittsburgh. But before that, you'd have no idea that you were getting anywhere near Pittsburgh. We were like a few minutes away on the GPS, and I'm like, where the hell is this city? We're coming up to a giant city. It doesn't make any sense.
It's almost like Atlantis. Like you're just floating along in the ocean and then bang. Yeah. It's the same way. But even though we've spent the first 5 minutes of the pod talking about Pittsburgh, both of our whiskeys today are from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, the home of Ben Franklin. Mine we've already been over. I didn't bring the bottle out because we've tried it before, but I'm back on four walls again. Shout out to Always Sunny. But then Chris, yours is new, right? So you're taking us through the whiskey of the week.
Yeah, so I did my, oddly enough, even though this is a Philadelphia whiskey, I found this in Jersey.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, because, as all good things happen when you're looking for whiskey in Jersey. But I've been in the liquor store and I was buying some whiskey and I got two different bottles. I got this and something else, which I'm going to save the other one for a pod that we wind up doing together so we could open it up. But what's really cool about this one, I'll just show you guys the bottle. See if I can get like a good picture of it there. So this is Kinsey. It is. It's a really classy looking bottle. It's distilled in Philadelphia, PA, which is cool. What brought it to my attention was we were actually at Christmas in the Park in Philly this year. And while we were there was a little booth there where they were like sampling this and also selling it. And I remember at the time, I was like, oh, shit, I'm not going to buy a bottle and have to carry this around with me for the rest of the day while we're walking around in Philly. So I didn't commit to it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get the chance again. And then, like I said, I saw this one and I said, definitely a good opportunity to pick it up and give it a try. It's a 47.5%. So it's a little bit heavier on the alcohol percentage. And I just think it looks good. I like the color of it. I think it's going to be a good drink.
Isn't it kind of wild that like that's distilled in the biggest city in Pennsylvania, and yet the Pennsylvania state stores do not carry that?
Honestly, I could be wrong. I may have gotten it in a PA state store, but I
I've
think
never
it's much
seen
more
Kinsey.
likely I got it in New Jersey.
Yeah, I've never seen Kinsey in a PA store.
Yeah,
never.
I'm gonna do a little opening of this because I feel like it's a little bit of a pain to get this bottle open, so I'm gonna do a little bit of prep on it.
Oh yeah, we have that like weird, I don't know, like that little strap that goes over the top. That makes it kind of difficult.
Oh, I just got fact checked by our producer. I actually got this in PA.
Oh, I've never seen it. I'll have to go look.
Yeah, I haven't.
When did
I
you
haven't
buy
seen
it?
it until recently. When did I buy it?
Yeah.
Probably like a week and a half ago.
Okay, I haven't been in probably a month, so maybe it's new.
I mean, they might be starting to stock it now. It could be a timing thing. It could be whatever. That's just the strangest thing about the PA state stores is, even though they mostly have the same stuff, sometimes there are one or two items that are niche to each individual state store. So it's a little bit strange, but I think without further ado, I'm going to crack mine open and see how this bad boy tastes.
Yeah, it's cool to be on this side of it. I get why the audience likes that. It's pretty cool.
Did that come through nicely?
Yeah. This is my first time being on because we never do new whiskeys and we're apart, so I've never gotten to listen to the lid pop as a spectator.
I want to take your opinion on something real quick before I pour this. Right,
yeah.
Keep everybody waiting on edge for the actual whiskey. But do you ever feel? Sometimes I feel like with the corks on whiskeys, I like a good old-fashioned cork. Like these are
like an
the
actual
synthetic
cork.
Yeah, these look like the synthetic ones, and I really don't love these. I don't know if that's like a tell of a bad whiskey or like a cheaper whiskey. I'm not really sure if that's the case. We could do some research into that, but I've always found like the real corks are always the best ones.
So I have Basil Hayden out here.
Oddly enough, I think that one has a synthetic cork too.
It does. I don't know. Hold on. Because when you look at it, this part of it, like this part, yeah. But then this part, I don't know if you can't really see it, but it's a true cork. It's got the grooves and all in it.
Yeah, no. So I mean, like, I respect that, and I wonder, like, if there's a price point or a manufacturing decision of which they decide that they're going to go with, like, a real cork, quote unquote, or the synthetic one. But
do you remember?
I mean, we've had plenty of them.
What the hell were we drinking the other week? I'm blanking on the name. Like the most expensive whiskey we've probably drank on the pod.
Blanton's.
Yeah. Do you remember what Blanton's was rocking with?
No, but I have it here. I'll check it so that way the next time we do our podcast we can see.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't. I feel like it was also synthetic.
It very well could have been. I personally, I think that might get some flack, but I think that Blanton's is pretty overpriced for what it is. It is absolutely delicious, but it's inflated in price just because. Yeah,
it's a top 5 whiskey that we've tried on this podcast, but I'd go as far as to say I'm not sure if it's top 3.
Yeah, I mean, I still like Eagle Rare better, which is also a rare whiskey, but it's like half. I don't want to say half the price, but probably pretty close to half the price.
Eagle Rare was better. I thought Writer's Tears was better.
Oh yeah.
So maybe it's 3. I mean, I'm sure if we really put our heads together, there might have been another whiskey where we're like, damn, that was pretty solid. Honestly, dude, it's going to sound stupid. The Bushkill Prohibition is a really good whiskey, in my opinion.
that one sits really high for me.
And that was like $40, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think it was like 30-something bucks.
Yeah. So it's all based on your taste, but.
I could tell that our producer is watching live because she just brought the Blantons out so that she could tell us.
I mean, I am very interested.
So I didn't get to show this in the case, I don't think, last time. I don't think I brought the sleeve. But I could
because we did it from here, yeah.
Oh, no, this is like an actual proper cork.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so there is a price point then where it becomes a cork.
Yeah. So apparently Kinsey is not on that price point.
How much was it?
38 something. It really wasn't that bad. So,
No.
But I think
mine's only getting warmer.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're actually going neat, which is crazy for you. So
I'm not going to like it. The chilled glass helps. The whiskey's, it's not ice cold the way I like it, but it's chilled.
I actually, I've been saying this a lot every time we've been doing the pod, but my appreciation for certain bourbons has gone up like pretty dramatically. Mm-hmm. I really like this. It's good. I think that you would like it too, because it's obviously next time I see you, we'll have it. But yeah, I think that it's got that bourbon taste that we like without that super char smoke, like right in your face kind of taste.
Well, what kind of bourbon is it? Like, because there's, like Kentucky Straight's got that more of a burn to it than.
Yeah, it's just says bourbon whiskey on it, and I'm curious if it puts any of the things. Sometimes they put like the tasting notes that they have in there. So it's got bourbon as a warm and complex on the palate with notes of honeysuckle, toffee, unripe orange, and grass.
Yeah, see, it's got enough sweetness
sweet
to
spice
it.
Finish. Yeah, it's definitely like sweet with some kind of oak flavor to it, which is really all I like in a bourbon.
Well, that's probably why we like the bourbons that we like, is that they have like those Irish whiskey qualities to it, where you get that like sugary sweet bit of it, and then you also get the burn. But I think the ones that we haven't liked have been the ones where it's just focused on like smoky burning sensation.
Yeah, like I'd say probably my least favorite that we've done so far of that bourbon style. Not my least favorite overall. Do you remember we did the I think it was the Whistle Pig Traeger one?
Yeah.
You remember that one? That one was like chewing on charcoal.
Yeah, but we knew going in that's what that was going to be. I mean, it was by Traeger.
I get it. You know what I mean? But like, to me, that just doesn't do it. So
yeah, I mean,
but this is good. It's got the right color. It's got the right taste.
It is. It is funny. Like, from my perspective, like, you get some major FOMO because I'm having a whiskey I already know, and you're like experiencing this new thing for the first time. Like, oh man, this Kinsey's really good. I'm like, tell me more. Like, I got nothing over here. I've gone through half a bottle of Four Walls. I like it a lot. But Four Walls was good. It's odd on my side of the camera. Like, I'm a viewer and a co-host today.
Well, I'll read you the story of what they have on the bottle here. I'll make it nice and simple and sweet for you, just to give you a little bit more of that spicy knowledge of Kinsey, so you can feel brought in on it. So it says, when folks think whiskey, they think Tennessee or Kentucky, but the story of American whiskey began in Pennsylvania.
Or Ireland.
Or Ireland, yeah. So it says the story of American whiskey actually began in Pennsylvania, where Kinsey was born in the 19th century. Kinsey is a homage to our original distillery along the Schuylkill River, which once held the world's largest collection of aging whiskeys. A time when Pennsylvania was synonymous with good whiskey. A time when Kinsey was king.
Yeah, that's pretty. I'm trying.
Well said.
It brings up an interesting point, though, and I don't know if you have an answer, because I don't really know. Hello? I don't really know if I do either. Because you do
got
think
some intruders over there.
Well, I mean, no, but I heard something that was a little bit closer than I thought it was going to be. But you do think of Tennessee whiskey, and you think of Kentucky bourbon. Like, pretty much that's America's whiskey bourbon heritage. Outside of those top three, what's the next state you think of when it comes to whiskeys or bourbons?
I don't know if I do. I think
I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't either. I think they have a monopoly over it.
Yeah. Well, because they're on the name of the bottles for 99% of the time. You're seeing Tennessee whiskey or Kentucky bourbon or whatever you wind up seeing. A lot of the times that's monopolized there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm even running through other states, and like I got nothing. I mean, PA, we've had Wiggle and Four Walls and Kinsey, which might be the next most represented state. Colorado, we've had two.
Colorado's good. Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense there.
I think New York, we might have had at least one, maybe two.
Yeah.
But
no, you're right. I think that my favorite ones collectively, like if you're going to pick another state outside of the big ones, I think the Pennsylvania stuff we have tried has been pretty on the nose every
Yeah.
single time. Like, the Wiggle stuff was absolutely amazing. I think that this Kinsey is really good. I think the Four Walls was really good. I don't think that there's been much out of PA that I haven't liked for whiskey.
Damn it. Yeah. Basil Hayden's out of Kentucky.
Are you checking Basil Hayden? Oh, I got to tell
Yeah.
you a quick side note about Basil Hayden. I had some Basil Hayden dark rye. It was one of their variation ones.
Not typically a rye guy.
You know me, I'm like kind of open to all of them, and I actually do like rye. And it was funny because bringing in our other name dropped person, Jeff had shared in this bottle with me. Jeff is historically not a rye guy.
Yeah.
And he said he absolutely loved it. It was so good. Between like a couple people, almost the whole bottle went down. It was a good time.
Really?
But definitely recommend Basil Hayden Dark Rye. You just may not be able to find it here. That we definitely got in Jersey.
Huh. I've never, like, I said that about bourbon before this podcast. Like, I don't really like bourbons, but I'll do them because there's so many. And I've been converted into somebody who enjoys bourbon. I'm not sure a rye exists. And maybe it's this one. I'm not sure a rye exists that converts me to rye the same way I have yet to find a scotch I enjoy.
Yeah. I think we got to buy it and give it a go because I think you'll enjoy it. What really blows my mind, and we kind of like touched on it earlier, is just the Jersey liquor store selection blows my mind in comparison. I walked in and it's like, you don't have Basil Hayden. You have Basil Hayden and it's like 4 counterparts of all the different flavors that you can get. Like
that's
you don't see that here.
Yeah, because you get the you gotta get the offshoots of each brand. All right, you gotta give me a second here because of the way PA is spelled. But I found a list of the best whiskey from each state that I'm trying to work my way through here. But PA is towards the bottom here.
I'm curious if it's like a number game. If like PA has like it'd be cool if they ranked it in the amount of numbers of whiskey that come from each state.
So it's not quantity. That's the tough part. It's this guy's favorite, or the highest rated one that hails from your state.
So there's a little bit of an inherent bias there.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, from what I'm reading, it there's a lot of different opinions. Dude, I'm suck at the alphabet. Okay, all right, I'm almost there. Wow. Okay, take a guess. I mean, I know it's. I'm asking you an infinite amount of options here, but take a guess at what you think they rated the Pennsylvania's best whiskey was.
Is it something we've had?
It is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that limits it. I'm just gonna say Wiggle.
That's what I thought. I was stunned. It's Bluebird.
Oh, really? Really?
Which I thought was fine, but it didn't blow me away.
I think that's just because it's trendy, and if this person's opinion of that was that they stopped in, because that's the Phoenixville.
It's up the road,
right? Yeah, I mean, like that to me makes sense because I always have a really good time going in there, and if their only opinion on Bluebird Distillery is from having gone there, I think I'd rank it pretty highly as well. But I think that when we like brought theirs home, when I got it from the liquor store, I was not as thrilled because I don't know, it didn't taste as good. It didn't taste good by itself. Maybe it's like a time and place kind of thing. You got to be there and enjoy it. But also, whenever we've been there, I've had like an old fashioned or something. I haven't really done like it straight.
So that is interesting because as I'm reading this now, it said finish. The end really leans into the sweetness, it's cut with cinnamon and clove. Bottom line is like his summary. It's a great standard whiskey that gets the job done. It's versatile but approachable. Sip it in your favorite cocktail. And part I agree because I think it makes an incredible old fashioned.
Oh, absolutely. Hands
but
down.
on its own, it's probably like a 5 or a 6, I think, in my opinion.
It just doesn't do it on its own for sure.
I think Wiggle blows it away. I think Four Walls is better. From the sounds of it, do you think Kinsey's better?
I do actually. I like this. I mean, it meets up to the test of time here for us. That I'm going to pour a little bit more in my glass because
Oh,
I
what?
finished my first glass.
I'm blanking. Remember that distillery we did? We tried two of their whiskeys. They gave me the peanut butter whiskey that we actually liked, and I also brought their bourbon home. It was from New Hope.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's really funny that you mentioned that because I really wanted to stop in that place, and
It's
I'm
gonna
gonna search
bug
it
me. Is it
because
Nomad?
yeah,
Maybe
New
Nomad.
Hope
Nomad.
Distilleries,
Yeah, I thought theirs was better too.
Nomad Distilling. Yep.
Yeah,
There's also Kuhn Spirits Distillery. I'm not really sure what that is. That's also in New Hope. I didn't look that up, but Nomad, I definitely want to try it. I thought that was good.
as
But yeah, I
as
think
far
that
as like,
what we're learning is there's a lot of good Pennsylvania whiskeys.
Mhm. Yeah, I would say if there's two states that I had to guess like might challenge the South, I'd say PA is a strong one. Texas has got to have some good whiskey down there. I'm thinking
Maybe.
that's just my
I think the
guess.
person that
Although they're known for
I think the
tequila
person that yeah, it
because
could
of the
be
Mexican
tequila.
influence.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, they're right down there. That's kind of like
Yeah,
the opportune spot for tequila. Um, yeah, it makes me wonder about like maybe like Chicago whiskeys or Boston whiskeys or something, but I don't think it's that
I don't
prevalent in the
think.
culture. I mean,
No, I
like I
think
was in
there's
Boston. I don't remember seeing that many distilleries when I was there.
something to
Maybe
be
we just
said
weren't
for like
looking for it.
whiskeys thriving in states that like are agricultural in nature. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is about it, but like PA between the two cities is like heavily like backwoods. Same thing can be said for Tennessee outside of Nashville and Memphis. Um, what's the other one? Kentucky. I mean, like there's something. It's not like a metropolitan area liquor. I don't feel like.
Well, it's all about states that have like the wheat and like
Yeah.
the grains that can manufacture that. I was actually since I have like a pretty decent car ride in and out of work every day, I like throw a functional, brain tensing video on most times that I'm driving in or
Nice.
driving home, whatever. Keep myself preoccupied. And I've been on this kick recently of learning about like different medieval and Renaissance times factoids and things like that. And they
Mm-hmm.
were talking about like the use of spirits in general and how like alcohol wasn't that big of a like obviously they had wines and mead and ale and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but whiskey or vodka or gin even, which was probably like one of the first things that people started distilling, took a really long time to come into the scene. They certainly weren't around in common everyday use in the middle, like in the medieval period or even into the Renaissance. It like was starting to get in. There was some like medicinal reasons to use that, but a lot of the times they thought that kind of stuff could kill you, which
Yeah.
honestly, because they probably weren't distilling it right, probably could.
Yeah.
So
No, that's pretty interesting. But I think your point before that, I didn't even consider when I was talking. I mean, I think I got there by accident, but you're right. Like the states that have great whiskey are states that have like fertile farmland because you have to have like the wheat to be able to produce it. And when you think
yeah,
of places like Colorado, not Colorado. I mean, Colorado probably does actually. But when you think of places like Chicago,
yeah.
I don't think of
What are you gonna do
fertile
there?
farmland and wheat. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still anything up there. Come to think of it.
I mean, you think
Uh,
about Pennsylvania and New York State, the amount of farmland in those two states is pretty insane. So you definitely have some good opportunities there. You're looking at like, the Kentucky area, the Tennessee area definitely has some farmland out that way as well. So anything in the South and on the coast, you have a couple states that can definitely do it. I would think that you would have like in the Virginias and the Carolinas, you would think that you'd
there's
have
got to
some
be.
good whiskey, which there must be. I honestly, I'd be interested if
Well,
we could like find a Carolina whiskey to try.
so I mean, I don't know if you were a fan of trashy. Oh, I shouldn't say trashy because it's not necessarily reality, but like some pretty embarrassing television as a kid. But like me and my dad used to love watching Moonshiners
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
Discovery Channel. So whenever I think of North Carolina, I mean, I think they're pretty preoccupied with the White Lightning rather than
shine.
whiskey.
Yeah,
Yeah, which
yeah,
would be
that's pretty
sick to get your
true.
hands on. Like if we could find a way. I mean, I've had Old Smoky. It's whatever. It's fine. I mean, but if it's like 40%, I mean, I don't know if if the DEA is listening or anything like that, but it'd be pretty cool to get your hands on like true Carolina shine from a guy named like Pickle or some shit.
Yeah, you'd need to for that. I've had some good family friends make moonshine before, and I've had some of theirs, and it's not, like they don't hold back on those. Those are like actually strong batches of moonshine, because I don't think there's anything illegal about making any alcohol. It's the matter of selling it that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like if you want to make it for yourself, there's no, as far as I know, there's no laws against that. It's just you're not supposed to distribute it or sell it. So I mean, that's where it gets a little bit gray area, but yeah, I've had some family friends make some that is absolutely to die for. So, I mean, I'm willing to give it a go. It's not my cup of tea in comparison to whiskey, but I think it's still pretty good. And something can be said about going deep into the Carolinas and having some moonshine with, like you said, some crazy moonshiner out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we'd swing it. They'd have to reach out to us, to be honest. They're not the kind of people who like you poking around their business.
Yeah, probably not.
But I mean, you want to talk about going where other podcasts would not. Like,
we're willing to put the groundwork in.
Yeah, like imagine we're live streaming from like the hills of like the Blue Ridge Mountains or something. We're just, you and I are just bushwhacking our way back to a still site.
We just stumble upon somebody's copper still out there.
Yeah, I mean that. If that doesn't get 100,000 views, then I don't know what does.
Well, we'd be the views might come from us dodging bullets on the way out of there as somebody's run behind us with a shotgun telling us to get the fuck away from their still.
Hey, content is content. All press is good press.
Jackass got that far doing crazy stuff, so maybe it's the same for us.
Yeah, I mean, and I was under the impression we'd be invited to this place. I wasn't planning on stealing somebody's moonshine.
Yeah, that's probably not a great idea.
Although
sure
it would be fun to
stumble upon some random. Oh, definitely. You've seen some of the woods in PA? We were in some of the woods in PA. That wouldn't surprise me for a second to know that people are.
You get out there in like Sullivan County and Starr County, like it's dicey out there. I'll tell you where we could probably do some serious research if it works out this summer. Is that Brewfest? That too, but I'm thinking Brewfest because if you homebrew beer, odds are you know somebody that home distills.
Definitely. I'd be interested in trying it myself. It just seems like it's a lot of work and effort to get into that. I mean, like people make wine all the time at home.
Wine's different
because it's easy to make. I want to say easy to make, but like it's safer and there's a lot of ways to do it at home that's a lot easier. People make beer at home and cider at home, and I think that's probably a step in the right direction. But as far as like, I'd say it goes wine, then beer, and then distilling like whiskey or alcohol is probably the hardest to do.
Yeah, from what I understand, again, this is just from watching moonshiners, but there's a lot of like extreme temperatures and high pressure involved where like if your like copper seals aren't correct, I mean you could blow a hole right through your kitchen.
Well, that's why we can do it in the barn and we'll be all good. We don't have to worry about it out there.
That would be pretty cool. Like if you made the top part of the barn a bar and then the bottom was a distillery.
Either a distillery or a brewery. We're on to something now.
We got room for both. We'll just do small batch.
Yeah, small batch for both. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
And upstairs is the tasting room.
If you're entertaining for like the 4th of July, we'll pop over there around Memorial Day, get a batch going.
Definitely.
Nobody could compete with the freshness. Then we'd have to review ourselves on the podcast.
That would be tough, but I'd like that.
I think we'd suck at it early on.
A whiskey ginger's whiskey.
Yeah. We have to infuse ginger into the whiskey somehow.
Definitely. Ginger root in there. It's one of the spices.
Yeah. But I think our first batch would be like, I don't know if we get it down.
No.
Definitely I don't think. And we couldn't serve it to anybody else. We'd have to get 3 or 4 batches under our belt before we started letting people taste test it.
You're 100% right, but I still think it'd be fun. So maybe one day. But we're going to feature ourselves here, and let's say 2 years down the line, look for a small batch whiskey ginger's whiskey. That
would be pretty sick. That'd be pretty cool. So yeah, save this podcast for posterity. And if on April 23rd of 2026, We are not in production. Somebody remind
Kick us in the ass.
Yes. But until then, it won't be another 2 months. It won't be a 2-year break between the next episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm Brandon. He's Chris. We're the Whiskey Gingers. Peace.